Hello, everyone. Welcome again to a pre-Christmas live stream. I was going to wear my Santa hat, but that thing is so warm, it makes my head hot, literally. So I decided not to. But for those who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to everyone. If you do not, then happy holidays. We're open to all sides here. And I just wanted to say that I came that close to canceling today. My cold got worse during the week, and I had like no voice yesterday. My son was making fun of me. We went out to eat. I was feeling semi okay, but my voice was totally gone. And thank God I ate a nice breakfast over at IHOP with my wife and Jeremy. And then I had some nice hot coffee. And for some reason, that seemed to help. We had just come back from our miniature club meeting, and we celebrated our Christmas projects that we were making, and we shared things that we made for everyone. Everybody brought in things to share to create a Christmas display, like a little diorama. And that was fun. We had pizza but a delicious hot tea that my friend from one of the ladies there, very good friend of ours, and she is literally came from Wales, UK, and has been living in the US for quite a while. But yeah, she sure knows how to make a good cup of tea. I'm sorry. I wanted coffee, but they didn't have any. Anyway, let's say howdy to everybody here. Those who are with us, I think they started up quite early. Richard Bender, he actually logged on at like 2:39 a.m. You must have been working late, my friend. And again, thank you for the Christmas present, and thank you for the images that you sent me. And I will go ahead and we're going to do several things with them. I'm going to print one with my Pro 1. Cross my fingers. I did not do a nozzle check prior to this, so I loaded 13 by 19 paper. We'll see how that does, and hopefully it'll be fine. And then we'll do one using Strathmore linen paper after I make a profile using Print Prism. We're going to install the 103 version, the update of Print Prism, and we'll go ahead then and print a few things with it, with that new profile. I already have a previously created profile using the X-Rite i1 Pro 2. And we'll compare it and see how it does. I have a good feeling that it's going to be okay. There goes my voice already. But anyway, we'll try to hang in here as long as we can. We'll go ahead and continue on. Ron K is here from Trenton, New Jersey. Epson EcoTank 8550 QMH Ultimate. By the way, so sorry, I got a little bit, carried away here. No, I am not up late printing tonight, but I am up late baking baguettes for an AM family breakfast. We'll print later on the day my EcoTank 8550 QMH and Print Prism profile. So, Richard, I assume, since you haven't sent me anything negative as far as Print Prism goes, I assume that you're doing okay with it. And did you have any other method of creating profiles that you can then compare it to? We're going to talk a little bit about that. Please remind me. Don't let me forget. As soon as I get done here, I want to discuss a subject that a very knowledgeable person brought up. And I think maybe Mike may have read that on Facebook as well. But he did have a very good point. So we'll cover that after I get done here. So anyway, he's got Q Image Ultimate Lifetime, Canon R5 Mark II, and a Canon D7 Mark I. Nigel from Wales, UK is here. And yeah, so, that's two people I know who have roots in Wales. And by the way, I just got updated again, my DNA profile. I have a little bit of Welsh blood as well. Isn't that something? So my family in Europe must have been, wow, all over the place, from Africa all the way through Europe, Eastern Europe, everywhere. And so, yeah, I have some pretty good background there. Fred Elias, 20 degrees in Warren, Michigan. Oh my God. All the goodies. I am OEM hobbyist, popular with my family this time of year. Yeah, I bet you are. Making photos for everybody. And they say, hey, there's Uncle Fred with his photos again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I do the same thing and people love them. Um, my family sort of goes, again, but that's just the way they are. Okay, Leah's here. I have no official evidence that Canon Pro 1100 is more economical than the Canon Pro 1000. It is not listed in the user manual. They're not going to tell you that. They are absolutely not going to discuss that. Just so you know, you got a lot to say here. It is possible that because I am using non-original inks from Precision Colors or even other brands, that Canon may perform more. No, it doesn't have any. It has no idea what you're using. Okay, it really doesn't. That is not nothing to do with that. That is built in to the printer, the firmware, uh, you know, and nothing to do with what inks you're using. There is no official proof of this, and I also asked people on forums about the efficiency of the cleaning, even with Canon original Canon ink in the Pro 1000. Some users report the amount of ink used in cleaning is lower in the 1100. Yeah, I've heard that as well, but there is no definite evidence. Actually, there is a an option on your screen that you can choose to sort of reduce the size of the cleaning cycle, and of course you can manually choose that in your maintenance tab in the driver if you choose to do a manual, on your own cleaning cycle for whatever the reason. You have a bit of a clock and you want to run a clean cycle, you can do that yourself. They have like 3 levels of cleaning cycle, and then you can also choose the zone that that particular channel happens to be in. Each zone has 4 channels. But no, I have not heard anything official either myself. So Captain Donzi is here. Hello, Richmond, Virginia. And it is now, let's see, we're like 90 miles away. So it is now what do we have as far as weather? Let me see. Mostly cloudy. It didn't give me the temperature. Where is it at? 49 degrees. That's not too bad. That actually is pretty good. He's got a Pro 100 with all the trimmings, Sony A77 and A65 Coney Omega 2.25 by 3 and by 2 3/4 film camera. Alrighty. Photo Nikon 780, cold, 19 below. Ooh. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Canon Pro 1000 Epson EcoTank 8550, XP 15000, QMH Ultimate Prism, Print Prism, Photoshop, Lightroom DxO, Photolab 9, OEM inks and paper plus Red River. All right, loaded. Henry Stoffel, Sunny Medford, Massachusetts, Epson P800 OEM inks, and of course QMH Ultimate. We were talking at the club. I was like the only man there, surrounded by like 15 ladies. I was in heaven. Um, Talking about Massachusetts, when we arrived there, got to remember I grew up in Los Angeles and my early years in Puerto Rico, so I'm just used to hot weather. So I get to Denver. I went to school there, got sent to San Francisco, and then one of our stations was in Fort Devens, Massachusetts. Um, and that's when I got hit by winter. Well, we spent 3 years there. And I remember I lived in Army housing, so we had a 4-bedroom house. Um, and we had to shovel our little parking lot for the townhouses. And I remember like 6 feet of accumulated snow around February, you know, and I thought, doesn't this ever melt? I had no clue how to handle snow. Uh, Being in special forces at the time, my friends used to make fun of me that my wife was doing the shoveling and I was watching the babies inside the house. What a wimp I was, you know. Well, I just wasn't used to it, and my wife was. She lived in Wisconsin. So yeah. Anyway, just a little funny quib about my time in Massachusetts. Then we come to Washington D.C. and spent 3 years here as well. That was back many years ago. So Kevin is in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, by the way, 8550 and a 15,000. Steve Excel, London, UK, P800, refillable cartridges, Lucky Guy, and OEM inks. One I1 Studio spectrophotometer, Q Image, Photo Nikon, uh, Photoshop, I'm sorry, Nikon Z7 II, and an Epson V500 scanner. That's the same one I got. Good scanner. Here he is, Mighty Moose himself, Rick Johnson from North. Wait a minute. What are you doing in North Carolina? Are you visiting family? Ecotech 8550, G620, Pro 200, only 2 away from selling my 1200 CLI 42 flush set. And not one single complaint. I'm telling you guys, if you are doing the 200, the 100 from Canon, and you choose to refill, like all of us should be, ain't cost too damn much. So get your cartridges from Rick. Get 2 sets. Send him your set. He will charge you a bit to refurbish it for refilling as well. You'll end up with 3 sets. And then you go to Mr. Hallamum. And again, I'm going to be posting the link to get to my list of links, and then you can order the holders for the cartridges. It's really imperative that you do that, because that way you can visually see what you're doing instead of having them scattered on the tabletop and bottles of ink everywhere. You just load all 8 or all 10 on the holder, and then one at a time, very systematically fill them. The worst thing you could do is to put, like, regular magenta in the photo magenta cartridge. You're going to have to reflush it. So that's a lot of work. Takes 2 or 3 days to dry fully. You don't want to put yourself through that. And, if you happen to have 2 sets, then maybe, you can get away with doing that reflushing and not have to, stop what you're doing with your printer. Until then, you need to have 2 sets. So again, this will keep you very well organized. And that way you don't make silly mistakes like, wait a minute, who was it? Oh, me. I did that same mistake. I did it with cyan, even worse. So anyway, Pete Grobel is here. Merry Christmas to all chat as well. Thank you. Richard Bender says, I have a Color Monkey photo and I'll prefer using Print Prism that uses 1 sheet of paper instead of 2. Yeah, correct. And the results have been spot on. If Richard said so, then it's true. Okay. I trust him more than I trust myself. Okay. TDP, TPD, sorry. I lived in Massachusetts for about a year. It can get quite cold and drop a lot of snow there. Yeah, I tell you, it was beautiful. I mean, I have to tell you guys, it was beautiful. And we got there around fall time, and it was Halloween, and my girls immediately got into it. My daughter was born there, um, like midway through the year, but then we spent 2 more years there. And when I play the video of my life, the very last photograph on there is my two daughters dressed like little pink witches, holding pumpkins. Looking the back of my house was nothing but forest. So it was gorgeous, maple trees, evergreens everywhere. The colors were ridiculously beautiful, better than anything I've ever seen in my life. And I've been everywhere. Okay. So let's continue on. So here is what you need to save. Bookmark this, please. Make sure you bookmark this. I'm going to leave it on for a while. No excuse. jtoolman.netlify or lifey.app /. Save that, bookmark it. That's how you get to my links now. Because good old YouTube will cut off the links because I haven't reached this level of approval, and they just won't give it to me. Okay. I'm proving myself again. And they think I'm this evil guy that like I self-hacked my channel. Yeah. So anyway, just copy that down, please, and save it. I'm going to just say who it is next. HZ7984. Hello, Mid and Gray in the Netherlands. Mild and Gray in the Netherlands. Briefly joining today. He's got an 8550. Happy holidays to all. I'll show you who it is right there. There's no name, so I'm gonna leave that floating there. I'm gonna close my video, and we're gonna get going here. Somebody asked this: if I was to buy myself an A2 printer, so that would be like a Pro 1000, Pro 1100, or P800, 17-inch capacity, in other words, which one would you recommend? And which one can you refill if possible? Would be to print, basically, it would be for printing 4 prints a month, or would that be a waste of time? Well, if I was a real hard ass person, I would just say, forget about it. Don't buy a printer of that level if you're just going to print 4 lousy prints a month. Well, I'm not going to do that. If that is your wish, that's what you're going to do. So what I would recommend is if that is all you're going to be printing, then maybe, and if you don't mind not refilling, unless you're in Europe, like the guy from the UK, the P800, the P900. So those give you the capacity that you're looking for as far as size. And they allow you to install a roll adapter, which really comes in quite handy. For me, the P800 has been working beautifully. I use it. I wish I used it a lot more often, but it hasn't been giving me any problems. And the P800 was the last one that still contained a black ink switch valve, meaning that you have 8 channels in the print head, but only 9, but you have 9, colors. So you have to share that black, the 2 blacks. And it seems to work fine. Even if I don't religiously switch back and forth like I should be doing. So yeah, P800 can still be used in Europe. Of course, there's no issues with third party. They are not locked. In the US, however, the P800, you require the installation of chipless firmware. And that allows you to then use, in fact, chipless means literally no chips. Well, we will have chips on our refillable cartridges. So you install your cartridges filled and primed, and they will show as totally full levels. Okay, that's how it works. Just like my 4200. The 4200 is a small printer, I believe 6 colors, and it allows you to use third-party cartridges only if you install a chipless firmware. Chipless firmware does not work with every Epson printer, only some of them, and especially early ones. It allows you to use early ones. So, yeah, if you're just going to print 4 times a month, Epson is not going to give you much of a hassle. However, if you go with Canon, printing once a week, it'll run a clean cycle every single time you begin to print. And so you will begin to waste more ink performing that cleaning cycle than you actually use to produce your print. If I go to the store, buy a loaf of bread, and it costs me $4, but I got to give the man $10 to cover his overhead. That's what you're doing when you don't print often with a Pro 1000 and an 1100. And I have been told, yeah, the 1100 is less wasteful. The larger format, 2100, 2600, they're less wasteful than the smaller equivalent versions. For example, like a Pro 1000 will use more ink in cleaning cycles than, say, a 2200 and 20, what was it? I think it was the 2100 and then the 2600. So those larger printers, maybe it's because the cartridges are held vertically. I have no idea whether that is the reason or not. Okay, have you guys copied this down? Please let me know. And please, please, please just save this as a bookmark and look at it every once in a while. If you want to get the discount link for, say, QImage Ultimate or QImage One or others, Amazon, Red River, and so forth, and Rudy Hallamum and Rick Johnson. They're all listed there. Okay. There's also my PayPal if you want to make a donation through PayPal, because I am not monetized right now, so we're doing this for free. Okay. Any information that saves you money, you should maybe consider just a couple bucks. And that's all you need really to help the channel so I can buy new papers. Right now, we're using whatever I have left. I have not bought a single box of paper because we haven't earned anything since the channel was hacked, even though they say it's my fault. HZ7984 says, mild gray Netherlands, briefly joining today. Okay, we read that one. Pete Grobel, you didn't read my first chat. Let's see what that was. Merry Christmas to you and your Canon Pro 1100 and OEM. Is this the one? If I missed you, I'm sorry. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and your family. God bless you and your family. Canon Pro 1100 OEM inks Pro Luster paper. All right. You don't have anything else prior to that? I have to explain without sounding like a jerk. I'm the only live streamer that actually reads these. No one else does. So, that's why I make sure that I attempt to not miss anything, because other live streamers, they get like hundreds. They're constantly posting. You see a new post every few seconds. They don't even look at them. So, all right. So let's continue on. So you want to buy a printer that size, and make sure that if you're going to just use it occasionally, then consider an Epson. Then you're really stuck with OEM inks. That's the truth. If you plan to print, let's just say twice a week, then the Canon Pro 1000, 1100, or larger if you want to go bigger than that, make more sense. And so those will allow you to continue printing without, so much of a waste prior to printing. Like you have to use, say, 5 ml total to clean your print head, but you're only going to use 3 to print your final photograph. You see, makes no sense at all. So consider that. And I'm going to tell that person the same thing. They wanted to know what to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and update our print prism. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the link that Mike Cheney sent me. I'm not going to show you when I install the password or any of that, but once we get past that, then I'll go ahead and show you what you need to do in the process of I'm going to pop this over to the other screen. I've already copied the password. I'm going to go ahead and paste it. So basically, you click on the link that they provide you. Of course, copy your password, and then it'll take you there. We'll go ahead and paste the password. We're going to download it. So it should be just a few seconds. And we'll go to, there we go. We got our prism. And I can't show you this. It's just taking you to a very basic download. So next is installing it and then finish. And that is it. That's basically it. Print Prism was installed. So now we're going to go ahead and open it. Let me go ahead and update my list of topics here. So it is now installed. We need to look at, see what the update included. So let me go ahead and go there again. Let me see if I can do this without any. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I covered up the password, although you cannot use it again, so it doesn't matter. I can, but no one else can. Thank you for supporting Print Prism. Okay, so increased color accuracy, can use existing scans, no need to rescan. New, I'm not sure what that means. I guess if you have scanned it and saved it, I can go back and reuse that scan. New creative controls, neutral, warm color tone, and normal boost shadow detail. Okay, that's neat. So I can, that would be like what, that would be similar to what Precision Colors was doing when they were creating, he was creating profiles for his inks for numerous types of papers. He would make a normal version for normal viewing conditions, and then one for like specific color temperature, fluorescence lighting, or any kind of like specific temperature that, say, a gallery would be using to display their prints and that sort of thing. So he was making different versions, not just the normal D50, but also others. In other words, those prints would look to you a little off if viewed under your normal D50 conditions, but they would look normal under the conditions for which they were created for. You get what I mean? So custom illumination, if you will. So that might be similar to what I remember Precision Colors doing. So neutral, warm color tone. So I guess you can, if you want your prints to be a little bit warmer than neutral, I guess you can adjust that. I would love to see a video from Mike. I need to check out his channel to see if he has included any new videos yet. And normal and also boost shadow detail. Button to instantly copy the profile description to the output file name. Embedded profile creation date is now updated with each profile header. Okay. All righty. Let's go ahead and jump at Print Prism here. So I'm just going to go ahead and load it, have it loaded in the background. I'm going to open up QImage and we're going to print our first chart on the Strathmore linen surface paper. It is 9 by 12. So here is QImage. Let me load it on the other monitor. And we'll go ahead and choose our printer. So here's the 8550 Velvet Fine Art paper. We're using the Velvet Fine Art paper mode because that triggers both blacks. And we have understood through prior testing that using both blacks will increase the density of your deepest blacks. So they don't just appear as dark grays anymore. Remember, this is not for inkjet printing. This is not for that. It is for you to paint on, literally. And so by choosing, I should say, the Velvet Fine Art paper mode, you trigger both blacks, the photo black and the matte black, and that helps enhance the deeper tones. Okay. You might end up blocking the first 3, 4, 5, 6, but you get those deep blacks. It's what people were complaining about that they were not getting. And I think it was Rick Johnson that discovered that by choosing that paper, it's a fine art paper, you would then trigger both blacks. And that seemed to help, even when just using the common OEM Velvet Fine Art profile on papers such as what we're using, like Canson, watercolor paper, that sort of thing. All right, so we have the paper chosen. We have 9 by 12, which is the size of the paper we are printing on. And I want to print this. I don't want to print it edge to edge because I don't know whether my scanner can handle 9. I think it can, 9 inches or not. But I'm going to go ahead and just choose, say, original size. And there it is. So we can go ahead and choose that. We'll print it on our sheet. We'll then trim off the excess and proceed to scan it. Now, one important thing, you turn off color management in what? In QImage. Not just the driver, but QImage as well. This is probably the only software out there that allows you to print, edit as well, and make adjustments, and also allows you to print charts. Charts meant for profiling. And this is the mode that you must be using when you print charts. Color Monkey software, i1 Pro software, i1 Studio software, it handles that. It also turns off color management when you print a chart through it. Okay. If I was to say print to file, like a TIFF file, and then attempt to print that with Photoshop, it would not work. I have to use QImage and use off. Now let's check, or should I say double check, the driver to make sure that it is also turned off. So you would go to more options. Now normally in the advanced setting, it would be set to automatic here. This is your normal off-the-shelf mode, default mode. Do not ever use automatic. Never. Okay. Always go to custom, advanced. And if you want to print, see what happens, fix photo. No, we want no color adjustment. Or if we're letting, say for instance, if I am actually printing on velvet fine art paper, I would just choose ICM. ICM is going to then print that job using the velvet fine art OEM profile. If I'm using whatever other paper, let's look at some other papers. Well, no, let's not. But you know what I mean. Other papers from Epson, I can just use ICM as well, and it will automatically use that particular paper's profile. You have to actually print on the paper you chose on the drop-down menu. In this case, we're using Velvet Fine Art, but we're not printing on Velvet Fine Art. So I have to use no color management here. Because why? We're printing a chart. And you always print with 0, 0, 0, 0 color management when you print a chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and print this baby. I'm going to double check again, triple check, quadruple check. Off. Portrait. Rear paper feeder, 9 by 12. User defined size. And velvet fine art paper and my printer. And let's go ahead and print. I better drink some coffee. Okay, there's a couple of let me go back to the chat. My P800 makes so many different noises. How can you tell when it is a head clean? Head alignment, pigment, ink, cartridge shake, etc. Well, the cartridges are not shaking, believe me. Okay, they're stationary. They cannot be shaking. Any noise you hear is just pre-flight check. Don't worry about it. If it's doing a cleaning cycle, you will hear the pump, the peristaltic pump pumping, and that only happens after the actual cleaning cycle takes place. In other words, the cleaning cycle basically is the printhead parks itself on top of the perch unit. The perch unit has a gasket that seals against the printhead nozzle check. Let me go back to full me. Let me close that. That is loading already. So here is the nozzle plate. This is a Canon printhead. So it seals against that, and it applies a little bit of quiet suction, and it sucks out some ink. That ink puddles on top of the perch pad. Then the pump, that's what scares the hell out of everyone. That's draining the perch pad. Okay. So if it's doing that sort of noise, it's doing a cleaning cycle. But it's very seldom that the printer does that. So don't worry whatsoever what the P800 is doing. Okay. It's just pre-print checks. It's going to the far left, make sure there's no obstructions. It's going to the far right again, make sure there's no obstructions. It's going to do this, it's going to do that. It's going to drain the perch pad if it needs to, and then begins to print. Don't worry about it. It's not doing anything behind your back. Well, it is, but it's all for the good, okay? Are they going to make Print Prism for the iMac? You mean for Mac? Yes, sort of. Yeah, they're thinking about that. Yeah, definitely. I got that straight from Mike. He's got to talk to his friend, the neighbor, the guy that created the version for Mac of QImage. I have used Profile Prism, Print Prism, with good results for many years. Oh, the old version. Should I switch to print paper prism? No, you're using the wrong term. So the other one was called, I forget what it was called, but it was using a scanner and a special card. This is called Print Prism. Okay. Definitely. Yes, definitely. Eventually, they will have an affiliated type link for me to use, for me to let you guys use for a discount. So you'll probably get 10%. It's like 30 something dollars. So it'll be 3 something dollars off. And I also get a percentage of the sale as a bonus. So I'll let you guys know whenever that's available. But don't wait for that. Order it now if you want to. No issues at all. Fred Bird says Ellington, Connecticut, work when commercial, legal, aerial, and old photographic restoration. Use 2 Nikon D400, 1 Nikon D830. Da, 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 da. He missed 2 weeks. All right, well, catch up, please. We'll catch up when you saved lessons. So yeah, they are saved. Don't worry about it. So you can always come back. The only downside is that you cannot communicate with us live here on the chat. No, not yet. Not yet. I asked that and point blank, and he said not yet. So let's talk about. Thank you. That reminded me of what I needed to talk about. So, a spectrophotometer. Let me unplug it. This bad boy right here. $1,500 worth of hardware. Works in this manner. Let me go ahead and replug it. This is printing perfectly. I'm going to let this dry. Oh, what a dummy I am. I was going to do an nozzle check prior to printing, and so I had some regular paper there. Let's repeat that using the actual correct paper, which is sitting right here. I was wondering why I didn't have to babysit this going in. So we'll go ahead and reload that. No issues. It'll be fine. We'll print that again. Okay, so with a spectrophotometer, that sensor built into that is you have to do a calibration of it every single time you print. Every single time you're going to scan your printed set of patches. And normally, if I was to put this away, I would have it shut down like this. But normally it's open. You see that ceramic circle right here? It's a ceramic disc. And it is a specific white. And so it uses that to calibrate itself. So it'll shine the sensor on top of it, and it will read it, and it knows what it's supposed to be. Hang on. Perfect. It pulled it down beautifully. I don't know why. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, so it knows exactly what the value should be, and it will detect any slight errors. If the illuminating light, the beam that it shines against that ceramic, was to drift a little bit, one direction or the other, color temperature wise, it will adjust that. It will fix it. It knows what the value should be, and it sees a slightly different value. Well, I need to adjust this amount. Okay, so that is built in. So you know that when you scan something, it is at factory, level, what it should be. Now, so in other words, you can trust what your results are. Not so. This is a scanner, okay? So the scanner is simply scanning as accurately as it can those patches from that image that I loaded in QImage. Then it prints it. Okay, you print the image, you scan it, And then you are going to use the software to determine whether the patches that it is actually seeing are the correct value. So the software is really the one acting as a spectrophotometer. The scanner just scans everything. The software identifies every single one of those 16,000 plus little squares. Is it that many? Maybe not that many, but whatever. There's thousands of them. So you may have to adjust the corners marker so that there's a dot, a little square white dot on the center of every one of those patches. And it then reads, it says, okay, patch number 729 should have been this color, but the software says I detect that it is not, as slightly off this way or that way. So no matter, so here's what the person was wondering about. You're not calibrating the scanner. You're using the scanner's results and you are recalibrating or adjusting the output errors. And it's looking at every one of those thousands of little square dots in the center of every patch. And it's determining this should have been this. It came out as that. And I'm going to then say, how do I fix this? You have to make an adjustment in this direction. And it remembers that. And so after all of them are detected, it creates a profile, an adjustment table, let's just say. Okay. And it's brilliant. It is completely backwards, but it is brilliant. And so, of course, he knows what the scanner for the 8550 does or can do. There is a window, there is a plus and minus margin of error that the factory checks. And if it's within that margin of error, it's good to go. They sell it. So you have this window where you're going to have variations. Okay. So remember that. Now, with the i1 Pro 2, $1,500, you calibrate it from the very beginning. It knows what a particular white value is. And so it counts. That's just a single calibration. Hell, the Pro 1000, 1100 calibrates more color patches than just white when it does the internal calibration. So he has done, on the profile, he has been able to do several scanners, but the Epson P500 or higher is not included yet. So I think what he needs is to have an actual scanner on hand. So he's probably just using whatever he has on hand. So he has a G620, which is a Canon tank printer, which has a built-in scanner. So he's able to do that. Now, we're going to let that baby dry a little bit before we proceed. Photo Nikon says, I just had my first Epson printer failure. 25 years, my Epson XP15000 photo tray just makes grinding sound when fully retracted. Still prints fine. They want $250 to fix it. Brand new XP is, get the new one. It's a wonderful printer. Get a new one. I had a grinding issue, and it turned out that I had a piece of paper trapped inside the duplexer. Check that. But if you're still able to print, it's just that you cannot get by that grinding noise, then it's not that. Okay. In my case, I couldn't print at all because the duplexer wasn't working. So it wasn't pulling the paper out of the underneath tray. You got an Artisan 837. I had the 8. I had the 720, and I loved it. I was running a sys unit on it. Yeah. And I had an R1900. I think I still have it in the back room that are running just fine. I sold my R2000 to a local friend here with a bunch of OEM ink. That's awesome. Yeah. They built them really, really good back then. I'm telling you. I think it's because, you know, the so-called features were relatively few if you compare to today. So they were able to take the manufacturing costs of each unit and just create a sturdy machine that would last a long time. And you use it, use it, use it, use it. Don't ignore it. Ignoring a printer is a death wish. Use it, use the hell out of it. Use it as much as you can, and it will last a very long time. Unless, I mean, there's always reasons for a mechanical issue to crop up. But yeah, I have found that that to be the case. Ignore your printer. It's just not going to last as long as a printer that you use constantly. And I'll give you an example as to why. Well, I could actually do this after this. Remind me, why does a Canon printer that you can refill last way longer than if you do not? It has to be a printer that you can refill. You choose to refill, and it will last a very, very long time, many, many years. If you choose to use only OEM, it will not last that long. It will present you with a hellacious error that you're going to then scream and holler. And when you try to take it to the shop, they're going to say, well, it's going to cost you this much. And you're going to go, I could buy a new printer. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Remind me, please. Okay, so next one. So the gamut of the scanner limits the quality. Well, it knows what the gamut is. It knows what the original values were. So the software is what performs the job of the spectrophotometer. Okay, not the scanner. The scanner is scanning it like it would scan a photograph. Okay, so that's how it's the software. It's Mike's, you know, incredible genius brain that has been able to come up with this. And I think he's been secretly working on this for quite a while. Okay, Photo Nikon says, my XP 15,000, only 4 years old, really do not need fancy retractable photo tray. Manual tray works just fine. Manual tray. See, I don't use that printer hardly anymore. So what do you need by the retractable? You mean like this retractable photo tray where it can actually retract inside? Um, if that's the case and you don't need that, then if you can get away with not using that, then you know maybe you'll get more life out of it, I guess. Keith Cooper did a video about profiling and mentioned Print Prism, which is your patron. When can I sign up? Okay, yeah. Oh, your my my Patreon. I will be posting that link. I want to get Mike to add it to this baby right here. Let me go back. When did I post that? Right here. I want Mike to add it to that. Okay. That way, then you'll be able to access it. That's what I'm waiting for. So I could post the link and say on Facebook, but I will not be able to post it on YouTube on the show more section of every video, for instance, because it will not do the whole link. It'll cut it, and people cannot copy them. They can't do anything. So I need to have it added to this. Let's go ahead and go to that a second here. I'm going to just hand type it. jtoolman.netlify.app. nuances.app / I think that's no net. I forgot the T. So right now, this is my old Patreon, which is no longer working because all the videos that are on there, they're old and they were no longer accessible. Okay, they're in the link to the channel that does no longer exist right here. I'm sorry, Patreon. So I'm going to redo that. I'm going to provide the new link to Mike Cheney, and he has to remove this and then add the new one on it, and you'll be able to just click on that and access it. I don't even want to show you this yet. Also for donation, just go there. I actually had it tested by my son, my daughter, and Mike Cheney himself. He sent me $1, and so he told me to buy soda, and I said, "Wait a minute, soda costs more than that." He was just laughing, laughing at me for being so greedy. But anyway, yeah, you can still support the channel that way. Um, I will have that done as soon as he's able to change that for me, or I can just put the link directly into my PayPal. I mean, my Facebook page. If you do Facebook, please join the Facebook. It's available right in that little app. Okay. Can you go over the price and what is included? The price of what? Hmm? Pete, the price of what? Print Prism? Is that what you're talking about? Let me know. Okay, let's take a look at this and see if it's nice and dry. I'm looking at the deepest blacks to make sure there's nothing shiny on it. And there isn't. The only tricky thing about this, oh, last Patreon. Yeah, Patreon. I think the standard is like $5 a month, and you'll have early access to like special videos that I do. Uh, Regular YouTubers will not have access to that for like a couple of weeks. So I would put anything that is special, anything that I find out, like breaking news or whatever, I will do a video and it will go first on Patreon. And only those who are paid um, contributors will get access to that information. Okay. And then later, a couple of weeks later, it'll go on YouTube. Yeah. So I will not be doing this to scam people. I will not be doing this to just to make, a few bucks a month. I will be giving you the privilege of information that I find out before anyone else does. And I will just let my members have access to that first. And then after 2 weeks, it'll go on YouTube. You can use YouTube also as a moneymaker by making it a private, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to trim this off to the black edges. It looks good. I don't see any issues here at all. You will notice as you begin to use this, those of you who have not used it yet, let me turn this on here, shed some light in the subject. In the edges, you will see a dash line, and I think it's like, what color? Like yellow, little yellow dashes. That just helps you cut. Okay. You can cut inside the dashes as long as you have a black edge and no white beyond that. The only white that you can have, according to Mike, is the white of your scanner, the top lid against it. So you trim it down to the edges of the black borders. I'm going to do that now, and then we'll begin with the operation of creating the profile. Okay. Just try to set it as centered as possible, and then we can go ahead and begin the process of scanning this. I appreciate that, Peter. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's begin here. So we have the sheet that we just printed, the chart in the scanner. So the first thing we need to do is to scan it, and we're going to use the 8550. Here it is right here listed. So we're going to do the new scan, okay, right here. If we had already scanned it and saved it, when we can just simply click here and use that image, it'll be saved at a specific format for you. So we're just going to do the initial scan. And of course, it's going to ask you, it's going to detect everything I have that has scanners. But like I said, it's only available for a few actual scanners. So EcoTank 8550. You do that again. Select. And now we're going to scan. So you got one for selection of the scanner right here. And then this is you're actually going to perform the scan. So we're going to make sure that we have everything correct. Photo mode, reflective, and 300 ppi. Color. Do we scan it with color? No, we do not. Okay, remember that. I'm sorry. Yeah, color. And then color management is what I'm getting at. I always get confused. Color management, make sure that it is none. Okay, right there. So let's go over it again. Make sure we do this correct. The scanner, scan settings, that's automatically not selected. Photo mode, we're scanning a photograph. So, and then color, okay, PPI, dots per inch. I mean, yeah. DPI, sorry, DPI, dots per inch. Color management, none. So we are ready. Let's scan this baby. You could do a preview, but there's no need to do that. Just go ahead and scan it. I'm going to close Q image for now. Okay, so now we're going to give it a name. So we're going to use the word print prism also as a descriptive term. So EcoTank 8550, Strathmore linen, and what else? Prism. That's it. So we're saving the scan as an image inside. These are all images that I created from scanning that original, the print that we created using that original chart that we loaded. So we created a print in QImage, no color management, on specific papers. They were saved in this folder, and I'm going to do the same thing with the one we just made. So EcoTank 8550, Strathmore linen print prism. What else do we need to save? What else? What else do we need that would be descriptive? Well, this is going to, oh, I know. Let me go back here. Velvet Fine Art mode. Velvet Fine Art mode. Okay. With print prism. So save. And there it is. We're going to flip it so that the yellow, orange, and reds are on the upper left. And now let's see how accurately it can find the corners. And look at that. It did a very good job. So you notice there's some of them that are just X'd out. And Mike said, don't worry about that. Let's look all the way down. Let's look all the way to the right. I want to make sure that the white squares are all lined up around the center of that patch. And they all seem to be perfectly lined up. Okay, so now we can generate the profile. Now let's make sure that the drive, see here? So I got to put down that the name of that patch we just created, the scan we just created, that is. Let me make sure that I can print prism scans. And the one we just made, Strathmore linen paper. Here it is right here. I'm looking at my other monitor here, so I'm going to copy and paste that. There. And then I'm going to make sure that it is also included in the final name of the profile. And it is. So there it is right there. And save. Boom. We should get an indicator here that once I click on this, that the profile is being created. You can see it right there. Then I have my color folder. I have a shortcut over my desktop. So I'm going to make sure that it is in there. It shows that's actually where the profiles are stored. So once this is completely done, and then we'll go ahead and print something on QImage using that profile. Maybe we'll use one of Richard Bender's new images. Okay, that's it. Let me go back to me. Let's close this. I am going to so we did that already. I'm removing things from my what to do list here. so I can stay up to date. All right, so now let's look at the color folder, and that profile better be at the topmost position. So let's see, we have, what is the date? 12/21/2025. That is indeed today. And there it is. Strathmore Linen BFA mode, print prism. All right. So that means that I'll be able to use that with QImage. Next. Open up QImage. So QImage right now is at 2026-109. For those of you who are not using QImage yet, you can always use my link. You'll find it inside that app, okay? And use the discount link. In other words, it'll be directly take you there anyway, so you'll get your discount. All right, so let's go ahead and open QImage. Let that load. Okay, so let's look at my friend's latest images here. So this is beautiful. This is and we're gonna do this. First of all, let me set this up for whatever image we choose to use. So Ecotank 8550, velvet fine art paper, usually defined 9x12, rear paper feeder, portrait, and off has to be changed to now use that profile we created. So we're going to suggest paper profile or browse. It doesn't matter. And then click on the little magnifying glass. We're going to click on the date. Now everything that is new should be down here or up on top, depending how if I click it again, it'll be on top. So here it is, Strathmore Linen VFA mode, print prism. Boom. We're going to use relative colorimetric and black point comp. Okay, now this is ready to have any image loaded to it. So I'm going to add a border. Of course I am. And if I decide this should go on a frame, I know I need like 75.75 border. It can be a little bit less than that, but this will give me enough room. We're going to add a black stroke. And now we're going to add the image. Boom. And so this is with automatic cropping. Let's see what happens if I undo that. Not that much difference. So I'm going to use the auto cropping so we get an even border, 3/4 of an inch border. I'm going to go ahead and look at it in my editing mode right there. And it looks pretty fantastic. I'm not going to do anything to it except maybe sharpen it. The dynamic range is at its maximum. He used, I believe, 5 multiple exposures, all at different f-stops, and then combined everything, did his magic in Photoshop, and this is it. You're not going to get any better dynamic range than what he has been able to achieve here. So we will leave it as such. I am not even going to do this. I normally do that. I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to sharpen it. So maybe 1. It's already pretty sharp. And 125. And I think we can go ahead and print it. Of course, I better load some paper. We'll see if we get lucky and we can get a direct feed without me having to help it too much or an error loading. That happens often. While that is printing, I'm going to show you some things that were sent to me by Precision Colors. But I'll wait for that to load because I want to make sure that it is actually loaded on. And I have an AI generated image from him as well, and then another one of some flowers that we're going to print, and we're going to use the Pro 1 for that one. We're going to make a big old 13 by 19 on the Pro 1, and I'm almost willing to do it borderless just for the hell of it to see what we get. Okay, so I want to try like overall application of the chroma optimizer. I'm shocked. Amazing. Normally that would not be the case. Okay, so Matt sent me some chips for the Pro 1. And I have to admit, right here, each chip is in its own little bag. It's got a label for color. Much better presentation than previously. Okay, I have to be honest with you. Also, I got some scales, and I'm not going to crack them open yet. So these scales are going to be whichever one I choose as the more effective one. These are going to be available for sale. So I just wanted to give you a quick show of what they basically look like. One of them is just very small. You can see how small that is. And this one is a bit larger. And we'll see. I'm going to test them this week. Simply put, I'm going to be measuring cartridge weights. And I want to then make a video where I will discuss the importance. And maybe a lot of people just don't do this because they think it's not necessary, but it is. And that is weighing your cartridges. If you're a refiller, if you want to know how much ink you have inside this, say your display says this, but you don't believe it and you want to weigh it, and you know that the full weight is 112, empty weight is 32 grams, so that's 80 ml difference. There should be 80 ml when you buy a new cartridge. Okay, right? So say you've used it, it says halfway, but did you really use 40 ml? Well, 40 plus 32 would be 72 grams of weight. So you take it out, you weigh it, and then you know how much how much ink is in it. If you are refilling and you don't use a sensor system, you have to weigh it. You have to weigh to see how much ink it needs to be brought up to 112 grams. You see, so weighing your cartridge is very critical. Now, on a visible cartridge where you can see through it, like a Pro 100 CLI 42, you don't have to weigh it. You can see how much ink is in those cartridges directly. So you just look right through it, and you can see there's about just a little under half on the liquid chamber. I'm still good to go. I can continue printing a little bit more and then top everything off. So it's very important to have that ability to be able to weigh your cartridges. And by doing that, then you know how much ink is in them. On a printer such as the Epsons that they use this type of cartridge, you weigh it. You have to weigh it. There's no other way to know otherwise. So you have to know what an empty one is, and then you know what a full one is. And these cartridges actually they use more ink than they are telling you. So it says it holds 80, but in reality it comes with 90. And what a lot of people were doing this back then, God forbid, was throwing away 10 ml of ink every single time. Yeah. Because they didn't know the chip went empty and it felt okay, so they threw it away and they were throwing away 10 ml. There's a cushion of 10 ml of ink in every one of those cartridges. I don't know about the Pro 800 this day and age, but I know that the like 3880 and before that were like that. You were throwing away ink every time, every single time. Okay, so this is almost done. And we're going to do a sublimation. Let's go ahead and cook the base here. I need a sheet of paper to put on top. I finally got rid of that gunky one that we had. Where's my scissors? I better have my scissors here. Oh, here we go. Put this on top and give it a nice little application of heat to get rid of any moisture that might be in those fibers. I want this as bone dry as possible. We're going to do a couple of 8x12s. I think I have the last two sheets right here. And this is good. This source that I got this from actually has these little corner guards on them. So it doesn't, even if it gets maltreated by the mail, whoever delivers it, it will sort of protect those edges, because that's really the most common type of damage that you get when you order these commonly available, not Chromolux, sublimation aluminum sheets. This will receive a coat of spray, and it will bring the dark tones even better. I love the way this looks with the linen texture. When you look at it, it really looks neat. And you frame this, and it looks very impressive to people. So you would put a name here, date, and my name or Richard's name, whatever, whoever printed it. So that's good to go. Let's go ahead and switch over to the other image. We got to do a complete new setup here. So we're going to go back to the printer list, choose our 4200. We're going to do 8.5 by 11. You can do this manually, or you can just do like this. It doesn't really matter. So that's 6.5. Sorry, 8.5 by 11. There you go. We're going to add. Maybe we'll do this one here. But we want it to be able to. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm printing 8 by 12. So let's go ahead. Let's back up here. So I have a sheet of 8.5 by 13 loaded. So I'm going to remove that. We're going to set up a size that's going to be exactly what we need. 8.1 by 12.1. There we go. So we'll go ahead and print that. It should be set to the correct profile. We made a profile, okay, for sublimation, presentation paper matte. Let me make sure I do have. Yes, I do. Let me quadruple check. Yep. We'll go ahead and print that. And then maybe I'll do also the flowers. We'll load both of these. And I'm cropping to fit. It has to be that way, okay? So if I cropped it a little bit, I apologize, but it has to be that particular format, 8.1 by 12.1, just a little bit bigger than the actual sheet of aluminum. And we'll print. Wait a minute, we have to sharpen. Sorry. Need a bit of sharpening. Oh, look at that. You got your... I don't want to crop that off. Let me make darn sure that I am not cropping that off. That's wonderful, Richard. Awesome. How about that? Let me make darn sure that does not. There it is, right there. Awesome. And it's very close to the edge. I'm going to make sure by positioning the that I don't accidentally, make it big like an overbleed, like a bleed out of the. So I don't want it to do that. Make sure that I position it just right. You should have put that on this as well. These are all your creations, Richard. Always sign them. And I want to know how to do that. I want to add that to some of my images as well, because I'm also making miniature versions of them. It would be cool if people can actually see like a signature. So we will do these two as 8 by 12 aluminum sublimation. There we go. Last time I checked, I did not have it mirroring. So if that is the case, we'll have to do this again. Or better yet, I better check. I'm going to cancel that job the minute it comes up. And I got to go into the driver and make sure that it is actually mirror. Otherwise, it's not going to be good. And I had a hard time finding where that is. Unfortunately, it's taking forever to load. So let me go back here. Yeah, so you're in Europe, so you don't have any issues with the P100. I also have refillables on my P800 because I'm using the chipless firmware. But you could imagine in the case of cartridges that are opaque, you would need to go ahead and weigh them. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. That would be good, and I can then add that to my images, the ones that I AI create, of course. Yeah, I the reason I want to look is because for some reason it reset itself back to the original default settings, which is not mirrored. So, like for instance, the image would come out like that because you remember you have to apply it face to face to the aluminum. So you have to have it mirrored, and any kind of text, any kind of graphics, they have to be mirrored. Otherwise, they will not come out the right way. They'll come out flipped. And so I better check because the last time I realized that it had been reset itself to the original default. 87, sticking forever. Recently, Matt McNamara contacted me about an issue that someone was having with a Pro 100, and they ended up having to buy a new printhead for it, and it still didn't solve the problem. It was totally wrong color, almost like a whole channel had just stopped working. And they would do a cleaning cycle, and it would be okay for a few more prints, and then again it would go bad again. So and I thought, well, you got a new printhead, but of course they're refilling, otherwise they wouldn't be sending Matt the problem report. So things like that, they can be traced to the refilling. Your cartridge simply stops delivering ink. When you do a cleaning cycle, it forces the cartridge to begin to feed ink, and it prints okay for the first couple of prints, and then it goes back to the normal bad behavior, if you will. And it could be that I told him, listen, has this guy done any nozzle checks immediately after he detects the issue? You do that, and you will see a channel is not printing because the images just went from totally neutral results to like orange, meaning no cyan. You see what I mean? So you immediately do an nozzle check, and you will see what channel has been affected. Now, if the channel affected is one that you refilled, of course you refilled all of them. Maybe that cartridge is not delivering ink. And I tell you guys this all the time: when you refill a Pro 100 cartridge, do the drip test to make sure that ink is dripping out. Drip, 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 drip at that rate. How do you do that? No clip at the bottom. You remove the fill plug and it begins to drip. You put the fill plug back on and it stops dripping. That's it. Okay. If it does not do that, if it does not drip, the ink is locked. The ink flow is locked by whatever the reason. You overfilled it and now you have ink in the vent. That can cause that. So he has not replied back to me. I think the bid that I gave him is enough to solve the problem because I don't think it's a new printhead. Otherwise, if it is, then it would be constant. It would be a constant channel, for instance, having an electronic failure. And that would not revert back to good and then back to bad and then back to good. And no, it's permanent. It's a permanent problem. All right, let's take a look at the situation here. I got to go back and see where the heck did I see the mirror. Image options. No. I swear every one of these printers is different. So no color adjustment. We need to change that. Let's see. Because we are on profile here, so I just don't want to get going and then realize that it's flipping the image. It's not as easy as with other, like the 8550. That's easy to find. Portrait, user defined size, two-sided printing is off. Okay. Settings, let's see. No. No. Does anyone know where that would be? Well, you guys don't have a 4200 like I do. Custom. There we go. I'm sorry. It's right here in front of me. Mirror image. Okay, that's set correctly. Good. That's all I wanted to know. Okay. I didn't want to waste, a sheet of paper if it wasn't going to have his signature in the correct orientation, which in this case it has to be mirrored. Okay, so I'm going to do both the flowers as well as, this one, the desert shot sublimation, and also on the Pro 1. So after we get this printed, I'll remove the desert one and we'll do the flowers as a print. And then we'll attempt to have make sure that the signature is visible. I wanted to do it as a borderless. I don't know whether that's going to cut it off or not. We'll see. We'll let this load, and I'll come back to that. Let it load. Any questions anyone might have while this is loading? So I think this is going to be it. We got everything done that I wanted to achieve today. I told my wife that I wasn't going to stay too much past 2 o'clock today. And I got to get me some more hot coffee. So let's take this off. All right, come on. Questions, issues, successes. I'm going to start that on my Facebook. I wanted you guys to show me your work, show off your work, tell the world what a beautiful set of photos you've created. Show us your printers, show us your room, show us your everything. Don't just come in when you have a problem. That's what we're there for, but it's not necessarily the reason you should be coming into my Facebook group. Show your work. That way we know that everyone is able to produce what the printer company says you should be able to produce. Often when they do that and we get bad results, we feel cheated, like they lied to us. And that's not necessarily the case. Okay. That is not always the case. We have to, they make it so easy apparently to print. And so that often, and I get accused of this all the time by the queen upstairs, that I don't read. And I don't. I just scan through it, and I can do this. Yeah. No, you can't. You make a mistake because you didn't read. And I know, and that is just absolutely me throughout. And so if you don't read the instructions, and they don't tell you how to print with profiles. They don't do that. They just tell you how to do everything on automatic mode. That is the trend. And so you don't really get the refined results that you may be expecting. You go through the trouble of editing and you don't realize that your monitor had to be calibrated. Otherwise, what's the point of editing? If this is not being displayed correctly, now you're going to compensate for it visually. What you're sending to the printer is totally wrong. This has to be correct. Okay? If this was a thermometer and I touched it, it should be 98.6 if that is indeed my temperature. It shouldn't be displaying 101 and then I have to reduce it to 98.6, because what if I was 98.6 but it just made an error, told me I had a fever? You see what I mean? So error in output causes you to edit to compensate for that error visually, and then you send to the printer a bad image. The printer receives it, and maybe you're doing things correctly at the printer level, and then you wonder, why the heck doesn't this match my monitor? Because your monitor was lying to you, and it cost you to edit to compensate for that lie. Basically, that's what it is. All right, so let's see how this is doing. It's printing. Oh, there's the signature. Awesome. I can see it. And it is flipped in the correct direction. So I think I'm going to be doing that one first. Maybe let's just forget about the flowers. Once that is done, I'm going to cancel the job. We'll do the flowers for the Pro 1. I think the flowers deserve that. So once that is done printing, I'm going to cancel the job. Almost done. Coming up, I'm going to have my cursor right on the cancel button here. Let me show you guys right there. Boom. I'm just going to take out the paper. That'll keep it from printing anyway. Okay, so we are done. We're canceling that job. That's going to require a little bit of drying. We'll check it for any kind of artifacts. Looks good to me. Yeah, so we'll leave it here to dry. I'm going to go ahead and remove the protective layer. What's left now over here is this image right there, but I'm going to remove it. I'm going to set up the job for the Pro 1. Okay, so let's go back here. Always set up your job first, your printer, Pro 1. And we're going to use not presentation matte, glossy 2 and 13 by 19. And here is the profile for glossy 2 right there. Okay, so now I have a nice border. We're going to try to do it borderless. Let's see what happens if we do that. I just want to make sure that I don't cut off his signature. So I will not be needing both of these. Let's set this up first. So if I was to print it with a border, it would look like that. And there's the signature. So that is not being affected at all. In fact, if I was to frame this, I would add a wider border so that, because the frame is going to take up a little bit of that border. But what if I want to do this borderless? Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Borderless. And he immediately is warning me. You sure you know what you're doing? Do you really want this borderless? Border. Okay. There is this is what it's going to look like printed. And so far it's looking good. It's looking good. I see the signatures there. I hope this doesn't get expanded anymore. Well, let's just go ahead and print it. Let me double check everything. So we're using this profile for glossy. This better be set to ICM. None. No. No. Has to be ICM. No, actually, no. None. Sorry, my bad. QImage is controlling color. I forgot about that. Okay, let's go ahead and print. Cross fingers because I did not do a nozzle check. So if it starts to do a cleaning cycle, which is going to do anyway, I know it's okay. All right, so now it's going to be sent to the printer. There you go, it's loading. I'll be able to hear it. I haven't done a borderless print in God knows how long. So I don't know what on earth caused me to do that, but I just want to see what this looks like edge to edge. And I remember that I had set the Pro 1 for full application of chroma. Let me check. Uh-oh. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. So yeah, I'm so glad that I got my Pro 1 working again. I don't know how that happened. It was nothing I did. Okay, it just began working. And all I needed to do was replace some of the chips on the cartridges, which, by the way, if you're lucky to have a Pro 1 left and you have a working printhead and you want to use those cartridges, they have to be processed a certain way. They have to be processed a certain way. And the reason for that is the chip. Let me put this down. I'll just show you one. I have examples in the other room, but I'll just show you guys what the issue is. So the chip will be attached. This is a dismantled cartridge right there like that. There are two little, I call them welded little posts. So the chip has two little holes. You see that little right there? The chip has two little holes. Two little holes that fit over the two posts, and then they weld them. So they melt the post. So now you have like a T, and like a nail head, and it's holding the chip in place. The chip has one hole and one slot. So it slides, and the other hole fits over the post, and then they flatten both. It's tricky. You have to be able to slice one of the little heads with a razor blade, and that allows you to lift that chip up and then slide it off. You better remove the head out of the correct post. Okay. Otherwise, you'll have to glue the chip in place if you mess up. So then, if you look closely, see that center little vertical slot? The Chinese chip will not fit on that because the Chinese chip has a little globule of resin covering up the electronic little parts on the back of the chip. The OEM one does not need that because you're never going to change that chip anyway. You were supposed to throw the cartridge away. Here you are wanting to tamper. Well, now you got a problem. You got a chip that will not sit flat because of that little globule. So I literally take that cartridge, load it on my milling machine, and I mill away a round little space right there so that I create a cavity that is spherical, and that allows that chip to now sit flat. You have to slide it and then tack it down. Yeah, I used to prep these cartridges and sell them to people, but then Canon stopped, you know, supporting the printer. So it became, I wasn't selling anything anymore, so I stopped. Where I used to sell the sets of cartridges already ready to be used with Chinese chips. So if they're single-use chips, you just use them, and when they go empty, you toss it and you put a new chip on it after you refill the cartridge, of course. Full weight is 84 grams. Empty weight, I think, was 43, something like that. So it's like 40 grams, like 39 grams of ink or ml of ink. I don't hear anything happening back there as far as wicked noises or anything. Let me check. Well, believe it or not, it is printing. That tickles me because I was getting rid of that printer. I was going to trash it. And I have another one that I wasn't using simply because I needed chips for it. And I just didn't want to deal with it. And so, yeah. Whew. Anyway, okay, let's see. No, it's not. It's just internal calibration. Basically, it just brings the printer to a factory level. Whatever the theoretical output was supposed to be, that's what it brings it to. So you cannot mass produce a product and have it exactly the same. So there's got to be a margin of error, plus or minus. And so that's what the internal calibration does. It brings everything to what it was supposed to be. They cannot do it. It's impossible for them to do it. They would have to load ink on every printer. No, that's not going to happen. So the printer's empty. I mean, it just has packing fluid in it, and so they have to allow you to do the calibration. So it's going to be guaranteed to be within a certain output. But as far as like exactness goes, like you buy a Pro 1100 and I buy a Pro 1100, and I print a set of charts and you print a set of charts, and then we both have them read by a calibrated spectrophotometer, the results are going to be different. You're not going to get the same results I'm going to get, and I'm not going to get the same results you're going to get unless we calibrate the printer using the same exact paper. Then it will be as close as theoretically, perfect match you can dream of. Can you see the difference? Nah, you can't see the difference. It just makes you feel warm inside when you calibrate it. If I make a profile with my Pro 1100 using Print Prism or my i1 Pro, and then I give it to you, and you have a 1100 that you did not calibrate. I calibrated mine, but you didn't calibrate yours. is going to print slightly different. Technically speaking, if we were to print the same exact image, mine would be a little bit different than yours, or vice versa. Yours would be a little bit different than mine, unless we both uh, internally calibrate the printers. Then my profiles will be able to be used by your printer. OEM profiles, they have a margin of error. Okay. Yeah, they do. When you make your own profiles, you're removing that margin of error. You're making a profile for your specific printer with its specific output errors that it may have. Slight, but still technically they're there. You just may not be able to see them. The human eye is not a spectrophotometer. Okay. So technically speaking, no, they are incompatible. You cannot use a profile that I make on my printer and expect you to get the same exact results. There is a margin of error. The thing is, you can't really see it visually. Okay. It has to be read. So when they make a profile, they actually purposely make it so that it works with every output, every printer for that model out there for that particular paper. Yeah. When you make it specifically for your printer, it is for your printer. Okay. You use your printer, you use your batch of paper, you use your batch of ink. It is really that specific. Okay. Thank you. Yes, please do so. Oh, yeah, that's going to look fantastic. Yeah. And that you're using Red River metallic, right? Yeah, Red River metallic paper. I was going to ask the owner to send me some. I think I did. He did a long time ago, but I think they have much better stuff now. Let me check the printer. Yeah, the Pro one takes forever to print because it's using, especially through QImage, it's using like the maximum quality setting it can possibly use. Let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and do this. So I want to make sure that I do not block his signature. Absolutely not allowed. And I shouldn't, I don't know why. Yeah, I know why. I have a little black border, which I set up when I printed the other picture. I should have taken that off. You don't need that when you do sublimation. Okay. So while the other one is slowly being printed, I'm going to go ahead and sublimate this. It should come out gorgeous. Remember, even though we are using a profile that I generated on my 4200 on an aluminum print, and then I scanned that same print, I shouldn't get that huge level of enhancement as far as like color saturation that you normally get when you are printing with just the regular. A lot of people just simply don't use the profile. They let the driver control color, and they choose presentation paper matte. Okay, that's the normal choice that we always use. So, and that gives you more saturation, more contrast, more. Mm, it just looks awesome when you get it, and people love the way that looks. So we'll lay that down. Make sure we have it as center as possible. One of these days, if I get a little bit more serious about this, I'll get a larger heat press just to make sure that I don't have to worry about temperature changes depending on the orientation. Like it's going to be more accurate toward the center portion of the plating than over to the edges. So that's always going to be the case. Okay. Let's cook that for 3.50 seconds. I'm sorry, not that much. What am I saying? It's the temperature is 350. It was 85 seconds. I have done some manual profiles only for Pro 1100. It seems the numbers were off. For example, 16 instead of 10. After finishing, their alignment results better. You're talking about, I'm not sure what you're referring to, Pete. When you say numbers, you mean readings? 16 instead of 0.10. Not sure what you mean. Are you using Print Prism? Or what is it that you're talking about here? Head alignments. Head alignments? Head alignment. I know what you meant. And I know you meant head alignments. But head alignments for profile production? I'm not sure what you're getting at here, bro. Let me check. This is almost done. One. Okay. See that? That's the bleed. My other sheet is completely covered with bleed. A little bit more to go. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. This room is getting hot. This is very, very hot right now. Ooh. Because I have a piece of felt here. I usually just put it down on the table and let the cold table get it cool down. You want to get it cooled down relatively quick. You don't want to have a super, super hot, and then possibly at that point have the paper shift on you. You may still be sublimating at that point, and you'll get a ghost image. That used to happen with making ceramic mugs, where the mug is still super hot, and somehow as you remove it from the press, you end up with a ghost image. Nice even reduction. You only get about maybe 80% of the ink from the transfer sheet, but that's all you need. This came out good. When I see you again, Richard, you're getting this one. Okay, look at that. Talk about metallic. This is metallic, my friend. Unfortunately, this type of aluminum that I get is not double coated, so it is not coated in the back. Otherwise, I could print it in the back and it would really be metallic. It would be like reflecting nothing but aluminum towards you. I heard this go off here. So this is the printed paper version. Borderless. Here's the master's signature right there. It's hard to handle. There you go. I think I got it. There you go. Yeah, beautiful. Nice job, Richard. Nice job. Let that dry there fully. This one I'm going to put a mount in the back. And you get this. This is going to be for you. I can either, if we're going to see each other maybe a couple of months, I would rather send it to you. So we can hook up. Give me your address and I'll pack this nicely for you and send it to you. Excuse me. Looks great. All right. So at least my sublimation system is working fine. Nothing has really changed. Judy Ann comes in and says that's gorgeous. Thank you, Judy. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So yeah, you could do the head alignment, not profiles. So you said profiles here. So the manual head alignment, you visually look at the results and you pick the one that has the least. It's hard to explain, but if you do the manual one, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then you just enter that number and you can run it like twice. You can do an initial one and then do like a refined head alignment, a second one, just to make sure you get it spot on. The problem with doing the auto head alignment is that most people use common copy paper. No, use glossy paper. Glossy. So the sensors need to locate which one is best. And if you use common paper, it's going to wick. It's going to not show the details that the printer sensing system is looking for. So just print it on a sheet of glossy paper. I think it requires 2 or 3 sheets. Fine. Use it because it will give you a very, very accurate auto head alignment that way. Okay, that sounds good to me. There is a place in Rockville called La Limeña, which is it basically means the female from Lima, Peru. And so we can go there and meet. It's actually a little bit south where we met the first time. Okay. We'll get it set up. Canon stated 1100 had to do manual alignment to stop banding issues. Yeah. It's really interesting that they told you that. It shouldn't have to be that way. It should not have to be that way. If you look at this is my Pro 1 that I was getting ready to toss. Blue tones, cyan, purplish, anything that uses cyan for whatever the weird reason, will show any kind of banding issues your printer may have. Okay. And you see how smooth the transitions are. Look at that. It's crazy. It is so good. It is so good. And I'm looking at this, and like I said, yeah, there's going to be an enhancement. This looks more enhanced. That's the beauty of printing on aluminum. It just gives you that extra little bit of pop. But color balance is not different. It's the same. And that's where the good profile came through. That's why I did that profile for my sublimation, my little 4200 sublimation printer. I had to do that because I wanted to have accurate output. Yes, it will have that bit of enhancement added to that, and so much better. That's why we do sublimation. Okay. So, all right. Actually, in some cases, the Pro 1 is better because of the 3 gray inks. Okay. Now, whether it can produce, the Pro 1 does not have blue ink. The Pro 1 has 3 grays, the other sets of inks, and red. And so the Pro 1000 added blue and removed one of the grays. So I think they also adjusted the what they call the print engine to compensate for having one less gray. What do gray inks do? Provide beautiful tonal range, beautiful rendition of tonals, smooth. It is so smooth. It's like it's wet. I mean, and yeah, other printers just don't have that. You can see the difference. The only issue was the Pro 1, it had mechanical problems. And it was an experiment by Kodak to create, I mean, by Canon to produce a pressure ink system, pressurized ink system. It didn't quite work out as they were hoping. And so immediately after that, the Pro 1000 came out, and the subsequent larger printers, 2000, and then the 4000, and then the 6000. Then they upgraded to 2100, 4100, 6100, now 2600, which is the same ink set as the 1100. You get what I mean? So that's how they did that. And yeah, it's the 1100 is fabulous. But, the Pro 1, oh my God, when it came out, it was like, woo, incredible. I mean, it's just absolutely smooth transitions. You just cannot beat it. I could do one on the Pro 1000. I have another sheet. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to mark this as the Pro 1. And I will put the other sheet that I have on the Pro 1000, and we'll go ahead and run it. I should be able to do that. Should I use the Pro 1100 profile? Let me know right now. While I am opening QImage, let me know If you would rather have it print using the Pro 1100 profile for the Glossy 2, okay? So I'm going to load this, and we'll do it the same way we'll do borderless as well. So we're going to load the 2000. I'm going to choose borderless. It still remembers that I used Glossy 2. And it is going to cut off. Look at that. Let me do the, it's not because I got the wrong paper size. Let me switch over to the correct size, A3 plus. There we go. And I'm doing this borderless, but somehow it is wanting to leave a little white margin for some odd reason. Let me remove the black border. This should not do that. Let me go to borderless. I got borderless, Glossy 2. Okay. That should print okay. And I got the Photo Paper Plus Glossy 2. And the driver should be set to none. Color intensity manual adjustment. Click on it again. Matching and none. Okay. We're good to go. Except we want the 1100, right? So, Pete, do you want me to do this with the 1100 profile? The answer is yes. I see that. Okay. There's not going to be that much of a difference between the two. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose. I'm going to go ahead and suggest or browse. So I'm going to look for 1100. And we're going to choose the Glossy 2. Here we go. Glossy 2A. Boom. And we will load. It says driver scaling detected. Yes, so we know that. And let this baby load. And now we'll go ahead and compare the two. See if we have the same level of smoothness. There should be a difference. We have so much abundance of shades of color that use cyan as well as blue ink that maybe we will see a enhancement of those particular tones. Okay. And the only way for me to determine that is for me to view this, what you see over here on this monitor, and I cannot show you that. I would have to transfer this over here, then look at my tones, look at those blue tones right there, and see if they have been better reproduced than otherwise, than with just the Pro one, which doesn't have a blue ink. So we'll just let that load. Meanwhile, we'll come back here to this. So I'm going to be looking at all of these regions here. Wherever there's blue tones, look at the petals of the flowers. They all have influenced by cyan ink, obviously. With the sublimation result, we just have, I think in that case, it was 6 inks. Yeah. So that's not too bad for sublimation. Usually it's just 4 inks. So we're going to be looking at all of this, all of the subtlety that the Pro One is able to create. Still at 58%, so it's going to take a little bit. Leave that there. I'll give you both of those for you, Richard. It doesn't mean that I want you to get a Pro 1000 or Pro 1100. There's no need. You're getting. In fact, I would love to print that on the 8550. I just don't have Epson paper that big, and I don't have a profile for the Canon equivalent. Maybe I should make a profile. How about that? So it's quite amazing. So just to give you an idea, each one of these, notice how you have these rows, right? Each one of those has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So do I have a pointer here? Okay, I'll use my syringe with a. So from here, from here to here is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 times 10, 110. And then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 1100 and 1100. And so on and so on and so on. Yeah, it's like 16,000. So there are like 16,000. Crazy. And so that's how it's able to produce such accurate profiles that I can then load this image. Let me see if I can do it manually. You'll have to take my word for it. Let me look at this. Yeah. Good Lord. It is pretty much perfect. Perfect match. I'm looking at the image on my monitor here. I cannot show you that. I can only do a secondary monitor. Amazing. And again, done on non-photographic paper. So who would have thunk it, as they say. Mm-hmm. I think we're printing already. Yeah. Let me make sure that that's actually what's happening. I'll be right back. No, that is not what was actually happening. I don't know what I did. I thought it had been sent, but obviously not. So we will wait for this to load again. Yeah, the banding issue, and a lot of people had been having that. And that, yeah, for you to have to do a manual head alignment to remove the banding issue that a lot of people were complaining about. I almost used the B word. Um, that should not happen. You should not have to do a manual adjustment of the print head that way. The auto head alignment should work. And again, I always suggest using glossy paper that gives you the lowest amount of dot gain, meaning the spread of little droplets. Every little dot that the printer creates spreads. Glossy paper has the least amount of spread. So any detail that will determine how good or how bad that particular patch of lines came out will be determined by the amount of spread. So the least spread, the more accurate the auto head alignment, because it's reading the results using a sensor, it's reading it. And so if you have a blurry result, obviously it's not going to be accurate. So you have to use glossy. They don't tell you this. I'm telling you this because I figured it out, throughout the years. Yeah. No, I'm going to do that right now. I'm not going to wait till next week. We're going to do it today. All right. We're 84%. A 100. Ding dong. There we go. Now it should send it to the printer. I should be able to hear. What's going on. Let me check. Okay. It's printing. Printing right away. And I didn't do anything all week. See how weird Pro 1000s are? I don't get it. I got to keep my eye on it because I got to catch it before it's done. Otherwise, it'll fall on the floor. My tray is broken. I broke it. So I only have it half loaded. It cannot be extended all the way out. Henry, thank you. Thank you. And again, of course, happy Hanukkah to everyone. Pete says, are you cleaning cycles with the Pro 1000 using less ink? Yeah. In fact, it just began printing now. And I haven't done anything on it for like a whole week since last week. I thought I was going to print on it, and I did a nozzle check just to get it ready and never used it. It's printing right now. I didn't even hear the nozzle check or the cleaning cycle that it does normally when you don't print for a week. So it is one of the most, in other words, you will never, ever fully nail down the behavior of a Pro 1000. It's as simple as that. I cannot I cannot, what's the word when you tell the future? What the Pro 1000 is going to do. But it's doing it now, so it's printing. So that is good. That's good to hear. It's actually good to hear that I didn't hear anything. That's a better term. I didn't hear anything. which means it started to print straight away. So amazing. So what do you guys have planned for Christmas? We're going to meet up again with the family. 30, no, it's not going to be that many, like 24, 25 people. And it might be at my daughter's house. So who knows? We will have to see. We're making my wife's famous potato casserole, which everybody loves. So we'll make that. And Jeremy and Nathan said, "Can you make us an extra tray of that?" So we're making 3 pretty huge batches of potatoes. That should last till New Year's for them. Um, yeah. Yeah, we're going to go to church tomorrow night, not tomorrow, Wednesday night for the Christmas Eve program. We just did the live nativity Friday, this past Friday. It went well. We had a lot of people in the community come to look at it. We don't have a huge number of congregation. Um, we do help the community a lot. We actually work with the county. We're one of the hubs. We distribute food for the needy. They come, no questions asked. Bring a bag and you can fill it up and go back home. And we do that once a week. The county provides us with everything we need. So at least we do that. So yeah. And my son went to the Mormon temple, which is just about 2 miles away from us. They have they're famous for their winter lights, and they used to have a live nativity, but I think one of the donkeys was biting Joseph constantly, so they stopped doing that. But they went there. Tons of people go there to see it. So something about print data not sent to the printer. What? I don't know whether it says print data cannot be sent to print because of the current printer status. Check the printer. Okay. So something may have happened when I thought it was going to print the first time. Yeah, that did not come out. So that's on the floor right now. Let me see if it begins to print. Otherwise, I'll have to. I'm not going to leave until. Okay, printer status. Check that the printer is connected to the power on. Yeah, it's everything connected. Why are you acting like it's not? Yeah, that's weird. It's doing some processing, but I did get, for some reason, look what I printed, like a half version of it. So let's take a look at the blues. Maybe we can still use this. We will compare to this. It is a somewhat more enhanced version, which I don't know whether that is good or not. Yeah, the darks are very dark. Reminds me of this. This is the metal one. This is the printed one on paper. So I'm going to redo this. This actually matches. Yeah. So the Pro 1 basically created even though I use the correct profile, a more subdued version. And this was printed as if it was going to be for sublimation size. So it's more like a 9 by 12 on a 13 by 19. So my bad there. I don't know what I did wrong, but anyway, you can see that the color balance is totally different and definitely does not match this. That is not a match. So I'm going to check after the show and see what's going on. I kind of like this. I kind of like this better. Yeah, that's a bit odd. So something odd occurred. Do I really want to redo this? Let me check and see what the Pro 1 actually did. I always joke around that I got too many printers and it's difficult for me to keep track of everything. So 13 by 19 is the Pro 1. And I am using Photo Paper Plus Glossy, and the printer is controlling, the application is controlling color, not the printer. I'm looking at this on my main monitor here. So none, okay, and okay. Yeah, it should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and print it anyway. Let's see what happens. I don't know why it gave me some kind of weird error. Remember when I thought it was supposed to start printing and it didn't? Maybe I sent, yeah, who knows? We'll let this baby load and see, I can't leave now. I have to check to see what's up, see what went wrong. So this is loading. You can see it right there. It should print it like that, and it should be. Then after that, I'm going to check the settings that I use for the Pro 1 version of it. Again, it should have also been the same. I'm using OEM profiles and OEM paper. The difference, obviously, is the inks. Pro 1000, and I'm using a mixture of inks on my Pro 1. Stuff that I use for my, also for PGI 29s, which is the Pro 1 cartridges, as well as ink for the Pro 100, which is almost the same type of ink for the Pro 1, the Pro 200, I'm sorry. Pro 300, what am I talking? Pro 10, you idiot. Pro 10, Pro 300. Pro 10 is pigment, Pro 1 is pigment. It's getting late. I got to take some Tylenol before I go to bed tonight. In fact, I'll do that earlier than. So let's see here. I don't see that. It did that before, yeah. The error is that you're printing borderless and you may get some issues with banding at the very end of your print due to the paper not being held down. And that is a common error that you will see when you anytime you print borderless, you get that kind of warning. So I just want to make sure that this begins to print borderless, and we'll get a complete borderless print at the end. That way we can do a very fair comparison. As soon as that loads, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the Pro 1 and see what the settings were. Should have been the same profile, so we shouldn't have a difference in profile. Just that the inks are not identical. And we're using, you know, a Pro 1 photo paper glossy 2, yeah, and photo paper glossy 2. Yeah, I'm sure that if I was to create a profile for photo glossy 2 with the current ink set for the Pro 1, I'll be able to just neutralize any differences. Okay. We'll wait a couple of minutes here and make sure that it begins to print at the proper point, meaning the very edge. Remember that borderless prints over the edge, in other words, over prints. So I always recommend you don't get involved doing too much borderless printing if you want to keep your printer clean. Okay, I think it's doing it okay this time. So, you know, we'll just take the best one. I think the Pro 1000, of course, is going to give me the best rendition of all those blues. I told you, the blue ink is what makes the difference. Once that gets done, we'll take a quick look. Now, I did a call to Mike, and I told him that this was my smallest scale. I have, actually, no, I have one, and I have a couple of others. This was a big scale, basically for boxes that weigh less than 10 pounds, and also does by gram also. So you just press it, take a bottle of anything, put it on top, 152 grams. My glue, 24 grams. So these here are little tiny versions, and this is even, I think these are one of them this is the same size as one of them he has here. So this is the format for this one. Let me see if I get better, if I have power. So this bottle was 148. $145.6. So, you know, there's an error, okay, a margin of error. And then this one here is even a little bit different. So we'll turn it on. And this weighs 145.6. So the two are pretty accurate. So I tend to trust my two smaller scales more than this big one. Let me see if I open up the lid and actually put it down. It says 148. So I'm off 150. $145.64. $145.6. I trust the two small ones more because they're off by tenth of a point. Okay, so um, this is good for, I'm going to send a 3 pound package or 4 pound package. I will use this big one. But other than that, for measuring the weight of cartridges, say with ink on them, how much ink do I have to add? I would use these. And the ones that he sent me should be just as accurate. I just want to determine which is the more convenient one to use. And that's what then he's going to go ahead and take my word for it. And that's what he's going to then stock for sale. I don't know what the original Precision Colors was using for sale. I know they had scales that they were selling as well, but we'll see. So maybe the smallest one will be the more convenient one to use, especially if we're using something not bigger than this. This you need to weigh, absolutely, especially if you're not using the sensor system. So let me see what's happening here. Oh yeah, beautiful. Okay, that's almost done. I just got to make sure that I catch it. Yeah, it's going to be like absolutely superior to what the Pro One. I just like the grace that the Pro One uses, and it gives you that smoothness, the smooth factor. But comparing it to, say, sublimation or say the 8550, I would need a profile to be able to do that comparison. 8550 is amazing. It really comes very close to producing a suitable, acceptable, highest quality acceptable result. You're splitting hairs when you get to printers like the 1100, between the 1100 and say the Pro 2000, Pro 1000, especially with images that don't have that much of a demand as far as gamut required. They'll produce results that are pretty close. It's all about money. So you want to buy a Pro 1100. How much does they sell for? 1300, a little less than that, right? Pro 1000 sold for that as well, but you can get them if you can find one, maybe cheaper than that nowadays. But why go Pro 1000 when you got an 1100 available, easily available? Just go with that. If you don't want to deal with expensive inks, 8550. If they make a 17-inch 8550, they will not be able to keep up with the demand. It is, I think that's what's scaring them at this point. And the fact that then people will not buy the Pro 900. Okay. They just wouldn't buy it. Why? Why bother? They're not doing any kind of gallery work. They just now are able to make big prints, 17 by whatever. And yeah, they would lose a lot of customers that way. So I don't think they're going to do that. They're not that stupid. Okay, and it fell. Okay. Pro 1 is in the back. Pro 1000 in the front. Pro 1000 with the 1100 profile. How can I do this? Hang on. $1,100 profile on the bottom, Pro 1 on the top. That's pretty close. Pretty close. I would have to sit this upstairs in my dining room table and check the tonal graduations. In other words, how smooth do tonal changes occur. So you can see the blossoms on the bottom one, which is the Pro 1000 with the 1100 profile. They have more color than the ones on top. Does the one on top look more like the metal print? This is a Pro 1000 1100 profile. Pretty similar, which means, boy, my aluminum profile is really good. Okay. But the aluminum profile looks closer to the Pro 1. These blossoms down here, this right here, this one, to use a really crude term, is pinker. It's a little bit more pink. You see that? Does it match the screen? That would have to be determined by very, very close look. In other words, I would have to really look at it closely. I think it's upside down. Is it upside down? No. There we go. There's the signature. Gorgeous. Great, great, great photo, Richard. Really nice. I will give you all three of these prints for you to do whatever you would like to do. They are yours to keep, my friend. Keep them coming. All right. I think that's going to be it. Let me see. I don't know where do you live? You live in Europe, right? I wouldn't recommend that. It would cost you too much money because you would have to ship it. No, unless you can order. Let's see. Say go to Red River, order some paper, and then have it sent to me. Can you do that? I don't know. I really don't know. We can talk about that next week. Find out if you can do that, and then if you still feel like I was of enough help for you and you want to do that, continue to do that, then we'll talk about that next week. Okay. Judy Ann says, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to everyone. May God bless us all. Thank you, my dear. Thank you for all your great videos, Jose, and for sharing your knowledge. Hey, it's always a pleasure. I love it. I love it on Sundays when I'm spending time with you guys. Look at that. You got that profile is for you. That cup is for you, my friend, not me. Yeah, you nailed it. Connecticut? Is that Connecticut? Is that where you're from? Wait a minute. Did you say you were using? Really? Okay. Well, yeah. So you're in Connecticut. Well, then you can just order it and have it sent to me. write me an email. If you still want to do that, if you feel like you want to do that, I would definitely appreciate it. So let me give you my email. So here it is. And I'll send you an address, and I would appreciate anything you wish to donate. Yeah, let me know if you got it, and then I will go ahead and continue on. So tooljoe1949 gmail.com. Let me know if you got it, and I'll continue on. I don't know what we're having for dinner tonight. We had a delicious salad. My wife puts together these salads that are just out of this world. I just tell her, give me the bowl. Yeah, she's awesome. All right. Very good, everyone. Thank you so much. I will have the link to my Patreon probably this week, and I will send it to Mike Cheney so that he can go ahead and update my application that you guys are using. Remember that? Tell me if you guys nailed it down. I want you guys to save it as a link so that then you can access all of the companies that I, represent, if you will, or support. And the reason they're supported is simple, is because they have great products. And what I mean by that is stuff that I have tested myself. There it is right here, jtoolman.net. I don't know how to say that. netlify.app/ Save that, please. Save that. That is the easiest way to contact everyone that I deal with, including you name it. It's anybody that I find that has a really good product, I will absolutely support them. Inkchip.net. You wanna render you got a 1430 from Epson, and you want to make it so that you can have an external ink bottle. No more ink soiling your internal pads. Oh, by the way, so let's stop right here. We're not leaving yet. We are not leaving yet. Why is it better to refill, say, your Pro 100? Anyone? I think you guys know what I'm going to say. Hang on a second. Yeah, you posted that earlier, right? Oh, no, that was much earlier. Sorry. I'm in the wrong area. Yeah, that would be good. Pro 100, you're using OEM inks and you can afford it, so that's fine. More power to you. Yes. Bingo. Bingo. That's it. Right there. Okay, my Pro 100, even though it needed, yes, sir. That's it. My Pro 100, even though it needs a new printhead, which I have, I'm just too lazy to get it fixed because I got my 1400 on top of it. That's the only reason. So all I got to do is remove it and replace the printhead and load some cartridges. It'll be back to normal. I think I have to do that. My 1400 is acting up anyway, so I may not be supplementing with it anytime soon. So I think it's time to get rid of it. It's really reached the end of its life. And that's also applicable to the 1400. Any printer from either Epson or Canon that has internal waste ink pads will die sooner from using OEM inks. Not because of the inks, because of the process you have to go through. Unless you're a multi-billionaire, you would not do this. So you're using your printer, OEM inks. In the case of the 1400, 6 colors. In the case of a Pro 100, 8 colors. Pro 10, 10 colors. And you load them, brand new, and everything is showing full. At some point, one of those cartridges is going to reach almost empty, and you're gonna panic, and you're gonna go ahead and exchange it or let it go empty. You let it go empty. You open up the lid. It goes to the exchange position. The Pro 100 does that. The Pro 10, you got to press a button, and then you take that empty cartridge out and you put a new one in. Well, how long did it take you guys to reach that point where one cartridge was empty? It depends on the prints that you made. Did they have a lot of reds? Then magenta and yellow may be the first ones to go empty, or both. So you remove one cartridge, you put the new one in, you close the lid, it goes to the right, and it runs a purge cycle using ink from all 8, all 6, all 10. Yeah. Did it need to do that? Technically, yes, it did. Because during that period of time where the printhead was in the center, the bottom was exposed to air. It is assuming that air got in. So it has to repurge it. It has to push out air. The only way it does that is by using the liquid behind that possible air infiltration to push out that air. And it will not just stop until the air has it been expelled. No, it continues. So it's losing ink that way. And that ink goes into the purge pad. The head moves out of the way, and the purge pad drains. It makes that whirling noise, the pump working. And that ink goes to the waste ink pads. The next week, you're printing something, oh my God, the yellow one is empty now, or the gray is empty. And you exchange that one. After several months of printing, all the cartridges are all kinds of different levels. Inks do not get used at the same levels. They get used at drastically different levels. So there's always going to be this craziness. When you look at the ink levels, they're all at different positions. Some of them are high, full. The one you just exchanged last week. Today, the one that was low last week now is empty. You change that one. You lose ink again from all the cartridges. Every time you do this. So if you have 8 cartridges, let's just say you did 8 changes within a period of time. Let's just say several months. Okay. You ran 8 purge cycles. Let's call them cleaning cycles. They're mini cleaning cycles. That's a lot of ink that went into your internal pads. You see where I'm getting at? Okay. So within a couple of years, your internal pads are going to be full. You're going to get a message that's going to scare you to death. Some parts of your printer have reached the end of their life. Is it going to croak on you? Well, no, you got to take it to a shop. They're going to charge you a couple $100 to clean, remove the whole printer to get to the basement and the what we call it, the where do they keep wine in Europe, right? And remove those nasty soaked pads, and then clean, and then install new pads. You got to reset the counters and return the printer back into its chassis. Hopefully, no errors will occur. And yeah, it's a hell of a job. You might as well buy a new printer. They tell you buy a new printer. Don't even bother. So now let's go to a refiller. So me, I'm a refiller. So I'm refilling. One cartridge is low, meaning I still have ink here. It's not empty like this. I still have ink. I see the low warning immediately or getting close to low. I remove all 8. I put those 8 into one of Rudy Hallamum's holders. I have another set, reset and filled. I put it in. Guess where the levels are at now? Back up to fully full, all 8 of them, or 6 of them, or 10 of them. They're all full. I print. 2 months later, 3 months later, one of the cartridges is almost low. I don't know which color it will be. Depends on your images. Take all 10 of those out, put them on a rack that Rudy Hallam sold you, and then you have another set already. Well, guess what? Every 3-4 months, you do one exchange complete. You run one purge cycle instead of 10, 6, 8 purge cycles in that same period of time. So if it's 10, my pads will last 10 times longer. So instead of a year, 10 years. It will take 10 years for that printer to say to you, hey, some of my parts have reached the end of their life. If it's 6 years, 6 colors, it might be 6 years. But in some printers, such as Epson printers, like the 1400, the 1430, and many of the earlier cartridge type printers, you could reset the pads. You can reroute your ink lines outside. Oh my God, your printer is never, ever going to tell you that its pads are so dirty that you have to put the printer to rest, to bury it, have a funeral for it. No, they will never tell you that. My 1400 is acting up as a printhead issue. Nothing to do with internal pads, nothing to do with my waste ink generated. I'm collecting that on a bottle. So that printer, had it not been for the printhead acting up, it's it's over 15 years old. And it was just printing correctly without any banding until just recently ago. So yeah, don't do that. Do not use. If you buy a printer that can be refilled, for God's sakes, you can get really good inks today. It's not like the old days where, I would not ever recommend refilling. But if you can get away with refilling, your printer will last you however many cartridges you have, that many times, X times longer, simply because the internal pads will take that much longer to become saturated, because you're using a different method to exchange your cartridges, not one at a time. And you have to do that with OEM because it's just too damn expensive. If you're refilling, you don't have to do that. When I refill a Pro 100 cartridge or a Pro 10 cartridge, well, Pro 100, I do it before the low warning. I add 7 ml of ink to that chamber. That's it. It brings it back up to full. I just spent like 80 cents. Okay. Instead of $23 per cartridge. Think about that. Even if I do the whole set, 80 times whatever, 8, whatever that is, 6 something dollars instead of, $140, including tax, if I buy them locally here. You see what I mean? And my pads are lasting, how many cartridges? 8. So 8 times longer. Because I'm not doing 8 purge cycles within a period of time. I'm doing just one. Okay, so take that to the bank. It is true. It absolutely is true. So I know it sounds crazy. Your printer will last longer if you refill. That goes against the rules, doesn't it? Yeah, but it's true. All right, that's going to be it. I'll let you guys go. And I got it. This thing is cold, and I got to go back upstairs and heat that coffee back up. All righty. So thank you again so much. Again, you can contact me via that email that I posted. If you have any direct questions that you want me to discuss with you privately, do so. I will have the link for that next week, and you can begin to join if you so wish. And I will begin to. I'm uploading again all my previous videos as well, and then I'm going to start doing some, what would you call that? Exclusive videos that will only be available to members, and then after a couple of weeks after that will be available on the normal channel. So those who get it for free will have to wait a couple of weeks, and that way you get a basically a privilege to see something that I just discovered recently and use something blah 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 blah. I need to let you guys know it'll only be available to those who are members of Patreon. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Until next time. And by that time, it'll be almost New Year's Eve. So, well, New Year's Day. We'll be back on next Sunday. So, we'll see you then. Bye bye, everybody. And have a great holiday. Do I have this? Yeah. Let's switch over to this. And boom. Here we go. Now we got it.